Alright, hello. In this video, we are going to learn how to factor using the AC method. We're factoring trinomials of the type ax squared plus bx plus c, and a is the leading coefficient. A can now be anything you want it to be. It could still be 1 if you'd like. You can use this method, or you should use technically part 1's method because it's easier. It could be other than 1 though too. It can't be 0 though. That's not going to help us. So our first step is to find factors of a times c. And that's where it gets its name, AC method. Because we're going to multiply the a, whatever that leading coefficient is, times the constant c. And we want to find the factors of it. We're going to determine the sign of b. It still determines the sign of the larger factor, just like our old method. Step 2 hasn't deviated away too far. We're going to find the factors from a times c, whose sum is b. And step 3 is where we now get kind of new. We're going to rewrite the polynomial by splitting up the b term. What our goal is we're going to take a trinomial and the 3 terms it has, split the b into 2 terms, and have a 4-term polynomial. Once we have 4 terms, our goal will be to factor by grouping. This is what the AC method does. There's some variations of it out there if you want to check them out. And there's another method called the FOIL method. What I recommend to you is, if you're interested in doing the AC method, go ahead and pause the video, write down these steps, because I'm going to be referencing to them as we solve problems. So, our first example, we are asked to factor. And I'm going to give us one with nice numbers in hopes that it will encourage you to use the AC method. And of course, I'll give you one later with some not so nice numbers, and we'll see how it goes. So our first one, we have 6x squared plus 11x plus 4. Now, we should, by always, check if there's a GCF in our trinomial. 6, 11, and 4, well, 4 is the smallest. 4 only composes of 2 times 2. 2 can't go into 11. 2 can go into 6, but who cares? It couldn't go into 11. So the GCF is 1. And there's an x squared, x, no x's. Once we've kind of done that mental check, we should always check if there's a GCF just to be safe. We can now move on to where we realize, well, darn, that leading coefficient is 6. And that's not cool. So we're going to take 6 and we're going to times it by 4, because that's what AC method tells us. We take whatever the leading coefficient is and we multiply it by the constant at the end. So 6 times 4 gets us 24. And step 1 said find the factors of AC. So here's A times C, and we need to find the factors of 24. So we are going to have 1 and 24, 2 and 12. We're going to have 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and that's all factors. Now b still determines the sign, and the b is positive, so the bigger factor here will have to be positive. Because AC multiplied together to get us a positive number, the other factor will have to be positive as well. And we need the factors who add up to positive 11. And the only ones who do that are positive 3 and 8. Now here's where it comes the challenging part. We're going to take our original polynomial, and I'm rewriting it because I moved the screen down a little bit, just so we can get the idea. And instead of our b term being plus 11x, I'm going to break it apart using the factors we found here. So 11x is the same thing as 3x plus 8x. And we could all agree, because x is like terms, 3 plus 8 is 11, and that's a positive 3. So I broke it up into the 2 factors. Now that's not to say this 6x squared disappeared, that's still there, and that plus 4 is still there. But now I have 4 terms. Do not be tempted to recombine these. Our intention is to break them apart so we can factor this polynomial. Now, with 4 terms and the GCF between all of them being 1, we can factor by grouping. So between the first 2, their GCF is a 3x, and left behind is a 2x plus 1, And let's double check me there. Distribute that 3x to 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. Perfect. Now group the last two together, and there's a plus sign in between them, so we'll have a plus. The GCF between them is 4. Don't be tricked into thinking just 2. The greatest common factor between them is 4. And left behind is a 2x plus 1. And there's that magical moment when we factor by grouping, where we have the new GCF appear. That 2x plus 1 has repeated itself. So we'll go ahead, pull out the new GCF. And left behind is the garbage in the front, which is a 3x plus 4. And we have factored the trinomial. If you're in doubt, pause the video, FOIL this out using the methods from before, and you should get back the original polynomial. Alright, so you're kind of left a little unsatisfied there. You're like, well, that worked out a little too nicely. Can we see a harder one? And I say, sure, we got time for one more. And let's go ahead and throw in some negatives. Let's say we have 15y squared minus 14y minus 8. Ugh, ugly, right? So I want to write down what my usual form for these guys will look like. Ax squared plus bx plus c. That way it makes it easier for me to see my a, my b, and my c. It's just nice. So my a is 15, and there's no GCF in this polynomial to factor it out and reduce it down, so I'm stuck with it. So I'm going to take a and multiply it by my c, which is negative 8. And I have a positive number times a negative number, which wounds us up with a negative. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus the 4 is 120. Oh my goodness, the number got big. But that's okay. We're going to find all the factors. That was an ugly line. Oh, what had I done? Undo. We're going to find all factors of negative 120 and figure out whose sum is our lovely b term. So, to get us going, we can really find a whole bunch of factors if we want to. I kind of cheat. I start off with what I know, like AC, 8 times 15 is kind of already given to us. So I do know those. And I keep in the back of my mind, remember, the bigger factor gets the sign of b. So the bigger one's going to be negative, and because we need to multiply together to get us a negative, the other one will have to be positive. So I preemptively set that up. I can see here 8 minus 15 is negative 7. That ain't going to work. I could try 10 and 12. But once again, those guys are a little too close to each other. I need a little more separation so I can get negative 14. So I could try 2 and 60, but now that's gone a little bit too far. I could try 3 and 40. Still a little bit too far apart, right? So I'm just guessing, and eventually I'm going to find the correct ones. At least I hope I will. And we'll have maybe 4 and 20. You might be shouting at your screen saying, I know what it is. It's 5 and 24 or something. I don't know what it is. Is it 5 and 24? I was just saying that. Let's see. Negative 24. Nope, that doesn't work. Man, this is not fun. So, let's see. I forgot 1 and negative 120. I should have did this in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6 can go in there, right? Oh, that's the one, isn't it? It's the last one you always pick. 6 and negative 20, which sure enough gets us negative 14. So those are my winners. If I was better at my multiplication table, that would not have taken me so long. So now I am going to rewrite my problem. I had 15, and I think y was our variable, y squared, minus 14y, minus 8, and instead of viewing the 14y, I'm going to break it apart using the factors we found from AC. We have positive 6y minus 20y. And let me tell you right now, it doesn't matter what order we write these in. We could switch them. In fact, it probably would be in my best interest to switch them because usually having the positive one second is nicer. and you'll see why soon. I'm going to keep it this way because it's not the nicest way to do it, and I want to give you the harder example here, so in class you'll be like, oh, it's piss easy. So now we're looking at this. We have 4 terms. We're going to factor by grouping. Between these two, the GCF is a 3y. Left behind is a 5y plus 2. Between these second two, there's that stupid negative, right? If I had swapped them, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But now I have to worry about factoring out a negative. And the thing between the GCF between these two terms is 4. Left behind is a positive 5y. Negative 4 times positive 2 gets us negative 8. And thankfully, we ended up with the same thing. So that's our new GCF. We'll factor it out. And my pen won't write for me. Left behind is the garbage in the front. And we have 3y minus 4. If you FOIL this back out, combine like terms, you'll end up back with our original. And that's how we do AC method. So until next time.